Hi, this is Joey Johnson, author of the book and mindset development process called Worthy to Win, Emerging from Fear and Self-Doubt When You Know the Potential is There. I'm going to be talking about what I call the Worthiness Dilemma. The Worthiness Dilemma is characterized by a drop in performance, a drop in confidence or momentum, an inability to get to where you know you should be performing. And I think it's important to note that every great performer, even the best of them, go through times in their performances where they have that drop in their overall confidence. The Worthiness Dilemma will help you understand what that dilemma is and begin to outline the steps to get out of it so that you can perform at that level you know you should be performing. Now, every performer from time to time will look down that long road to whatever goal or performance breakthrough they're looking to have and begin this process of contemplation. And that contemplation says, do I really have what it takes for this next breakthrough? Am I really worthy? And that is typically an internal dialogue that most of the time we're not even conscious of. But high-level performers are constantly assessing this in their minds as they prepare for various performances. And when they don't feel that they're worthy, they inevitably find a way to sabotage themselves and not perform to their best. Now, when you look at the meaning of the word worth from a dictionary perspective, here's a few things it says. The first and most important is that it is a deserving. There is a deserving mindset. A worthy to win mindset is someone who deserves that they should have the breakthrough and that they can accomplish those things they've set out to accomplish. You can also see here it talks about feeling good or important enough to justify that there's an excellence of character or quality, any usefulness or importance for a person or for a purpose. You know, worth is an overall feeling we have, but it comes from the mindset, the way we see everything about ourselves, our potential, and how we approach that in our performances. Now, the greatest tragedy in the life of a performer is not living up to their potential. As a young competitive athlete, I felt that devastating feeling that I was somehow being held back from the ability that I knew I had. Now, how did I know that? Because I had experienced it routinely in practice settings, but not often enough when a real breakthrough opportunity was right before me. There is nothing so discouraging as feeling like you had the win or the breakthrough in the palm of your hand and then you dropped it at the last second. You didn't get across the finish line. And this is the definition of self-sabotage. Now, repeating this over and over time creates a strong feeling of fear and self-doubt that can cripple even a highly skilled performer over time. So this is the dilemma at the core that needs to be solved. Now, as you look at this picture of these stairs, you have to ask yourselves, am I willing to take the steps to get down to the field to have the breakthrough? A lot of people say they want to have the breakthrough and they're motivated to have it, but are not willing to commit themselves to taking the steps all the way through the process. Now, there's 4 key questions that, if answered, will identify that you're ready. The first one is, are you a decision maker? And when you make decisions, secondly, do you stand by them even in the face of adversity and challenge? The third one is, are you teachable? Are you ready to stop running around in circles, really get focused and face your demons and be honest with yourself? And lastly, do you believe that you have what it takes to have your breakthrough? Now, if you're willing to look at yourself, be self-honest, show the courage to dig deep, and really make yourself vulnerable, then you have what it takes to get to the core of what you need to have that next breakthrough. But you got to be willing to take those steps, and those are the 4 questions that will identify if you're ready. Okay, I'd like to talk about 2 things that will keep the worthiness dilemma alive if not solved. The first one is what I call keeping the pieces of your performance puzzle together. Performing at your best is like a puzzle. You know what it feels like when all those pieces are in place. But being able to consistently perform at a high level requires your ability to make sure that those pieces do not drift off over time and become confused. Over time, what happens is things change. Why? Well, we're constantly in a world of change. Your game changes, your attitude changes, the people that you deal with change, your skill, your development, all these things are changing. And as those things change, so does your mindset change. So does your perspective on your ability and your confidence levels. So we got to keep those pieces in place consistently so that you know what it feels like on a consistent basis to perform to your very best. Now, the second challenge that keeps the worthiness dilemma alive is clearing out the fog that clutters your mind. Everybody knows when they perform their best, their thinking is very clear and it's fluid and things just seem simple and focused. And when not, it seems complicated, you're indecisive, So there's this clarity of thought that comes as you begin to walk through the worthiness dilemma. Because first you start to understand what it really is, and then you make a strategy to overcome it. So that's the second step in preparing to solve the worthiness dilemma. Okay, there's 3 stages to the worthiness dilemma. Let's take a closer look. The first one is the image is everything stage. This is what you think the win's going to bring you. In this highly competitive world we live in, oftentimes we're motivated by what the success will bring us. And there's obvious reasons for that. But oftentimes, if it's not balanced, that reason becomes so out of control that the expectations become insurmountable. That leads to a desperate for success mindset. There's a pressing need for the big win. It's not just we want to go after it and we love the ability to compete, but we need it. We need it to feed our self-worth. And then, because of that need being so strong, there's this volcano of pressure that over time will erupt, because these expectations are so unrealistic and out of control. All right, let's take a closer look at stage 1 of the worthiness dilemma. This is what I call the I can become somebody if I can win stage. And this relates to that illusion we just talked about of what the win will bring us. For me as a young boy, I realized as I started playing competitive tennis at a young age, as I started seeing my skill development, the realization came to my mind that, hey, I can really become somebody if I can win at this sport. And that over time developed to the point where there was this underlying pressure that began to build. The reality is the most healthy performers, they perform because they love to get out there. They love to compete. They love to perform in front of others or whatever. But they just love the process and the act of getting out and really going through the performances. But it's not that it's going to make them become somebody if they win. And that realization is crucial to overcoming the worthiness dilemma. Moving on to stage 2 of the worthiness dilemma, this is what I call the I need to figure out how to win stage. I'm desperate. Now this is fueled because in stage 1, there's this realization that, hey, I can become somebody if I can win. And so now I got to figure out how to do it. And now this mindset leads to a lack of flow through what I call forced thinking. You know, anytime you've been under intense pressure and you weren't prepared for it, you know what I mean. You know what that feels like. Nothing works. Your performance seems to be totally forced and not flowing, and you just don't perform anywhere close to your real potential. So there's this idea that, you know, now I got to figure it out, and when we get into that mindset, we overthink, we overcomplicate. Now there's stage 3 of the worthiness dilemma, which is the final stage. This is the I must win and it needs to be now stage. This is my chance. And in the introduction to my book, when I talk about the worthiness dilemma, I share a classic example of this when I was in my mid-20s performing in Southern California in the professional tennis division there, where I had an opportunity for a really great win over a world-class player. And as I went through those 3 stages, all of them came out in my mind at the end of the match. You know, that this would be a great win. It's going to make me better. It's going to make me more of somebody. And then I've got to figure out how to do it. And here's my chance. And of course, once you're in a performance and those thoughts start to flow through your mind, you can guess what happens. You freeze up and you absolutely choke and you do not perform to your best. So this idea of I've got to do it now is what fuels a lot of the anxiety and nerves that kick in when people underperform. So if you look at a performer that's been caught up in the worthiness dilemma for quite some time, there becomes this overwhelming quest to prove their worth through looking for that magic pill. They're always looking for a better way of doing things, another approach, another way. What they aren't figuring out is that they need to learn to just trust themselves at a core level, get to know themselves, and create the right plan for them. So this desperate seeking ends up just being a complete waste of time as they run around in circles trying different things and really never getting to the core of what they really need to do to break through. As you begin to understand the worthiness dilemma, hopefully one thing you understand is at the core, what helps you to overcome it is understanding yourself at a core level, understanding what makes you tick, the right mindset for you, the right game plan. A worthy to win mindset is someone who is prepared to really accept who they are and leverage those strengths. In this process, there's 8 steps that'll bring you to that breakthrough and help you to get to know yourself at that core level. There's also 8 dilemmas that are presented if you don't know how to get through them. And you have one chance to prove your worth, and this is your opportunity to go through that process and take the steps you need to know yourself at a core level and develop a worthy to win mindset. Let's take a closer look at the 8 different dilemmas that come up throughout this process. The first one is you'll see that it hinges on self-understanding. If your self-understanding isn't clear, and that comes from the worthiness dilemma, then you will have the wrong approach, the wrong game plan, and that leads to a limited view of your potential. That, of course, over time leads to self-sabotage, and that's caused by overthinking, not being able to trust yourself when you're performing, constantly trying to prove yourself and feeling you can have this weight of pressure on your back, and then in the end, underperforming time and time again. If you understand who you are and you solve that worthiness dilemma, and it all begins with self-understanding, you will have the right approach, you will believe that you can do it, you'll stop sabotaging, start thinking clearly, beginning to trust yourself and your game plan, and stop trying to prove yourself every time you go out there. And in the end, you're going to have the breakthrough performances that you need to build that essential element of confidence that you need to have a worthy to win experience. So when you look at the answer to the worthiness dilemma, there's three key pieces. We've talked about finding the real you. The next one is the ability to leverage momentum. And momentum is a precious thing when it comes to performances. It's so often that you see talented performers that connect with the right game plan, and then they start trying to change things once they start moving forward. And that changing things is what stops them from developing the precious element of momentum. Because when you have momentum over time and you stick with those things that are inherently part of the proper game plan for you, you will have the breakthrough. And that is what Worthy to Win prepares you to have. I'd like to conclude this overview of the worthiness dilemma and remind you that you have a chance to solve the worthiness dilemma in your performances and begin that process today. There's one key question that I want to ask you, and that is, when was the last time you experienced a breakthrough in your performances? And if you said, well, not too long ago, the question I have is, were you able to follow it up with another one? What's the definition of a breakthrough? It's something that you have never done before, something that you have wanted to do, believed you should have done, or something that you have dreamed of doing that you've never done before. Breakthroughs are contagious. If you have one breakthrough, it will lead you to another and another. And if you know how to create and maintain a worthy to win mindset, you will get that breakthrough. It all begins with one crucial step, solving the worthiness dilemma. I know you can do it. Always remember that you are worthy to win. And remember that to begin your performance journey to your next breakthrough in performance, don't wait, don't hesitate, begin it now. Contact Worthy to Win Mindset Development, and we want to help you get to your next breakthrough in performance. If you'd like more information on how to prepare for your next breakthrough in performance, please contact us at the web at worthytowin.com or email me at joey@worthytowin.com or call 801-725-4940. We offer a no-cost, no-obligation performance assessment that's offered on the front page of our website. Feel free to email that back to us and we'll get in touch with you and give you a free evaluation of what you need to do to prepare for your next breakthrough. We have team packages and individual training packages. We work with junior, amateur, Olympic, and professional athletes, as well as do presentations in the business world where we'll train teams and business executives using the Worthy to Win sports metaphor applied to a business environment. We also do keynote speaking and motivational speaking on an as-needed basis. We hope that you find that worth that you have deep inside of you and know that you're worthy to win.